Shannon Turner here. Today we're going to shine a spotlight on how you can get faster mailing builds. If all of your reports run and your mailings build in seconds, you probably don't need to worry about how to make them faster yet. But for the rest of us, I'm going to show you a handful of tricks to make your reports run so much faster and your mailings build their targeting so much more quickly than before. This is not going to apply to every situation, but it does apply to lots of very common situations. So let's begin. Maybe you have some of these types of reports. What is the date of this user's last action or the last time they were sent a mailing? What was the last time they opened or clicked or made a donation? And I want to target my mailing based on that. Or how many actions has a user taken in the last 30 or 60 or 90 days? And if you have some of these reports, these reports and these questions, these are great questions to ask about your users because they all measure engagement and they figure out who your most committed supporters are. But unfortunately, these reports can often be pretty slow as well. And if you're using slow query reports in your mailings, well, your mailings are going to take a long time to build their targeting. And that means you have to wait longer to get proofs or to get your mailings out the door. And everybody hates that. Waiting is the worst, especially when you feel that pressure to get that mailing out the door. We get a lot of support tickets about mailings taking a long time to build. And these are some of the most common queries that we see that tend to be slow. When you're including, people who are 90-day actives, or if you want to exclude your inactive folks, or if you have a lot of complicated merge queries, these are very typical, very common problem slow queries. But I love when clients write into support and ask things like, why is my mailing taking so long to build? Because for me, being on support, I love this. I see it as an opportunity to see, are there things that we can do on the action kit side to speed things up? But it's also an opportunity to show clients some powerful tips and tricks to make their mailings build even faster. So if you're using a report that measures stats like what was this user's last donation? How many actions have they taken in the last 90 days? How many mailings have they opened or clicked? The reason reports like this tend to be slow is behind the scenes, we are looking at hundreds of millions of entries in the database, and then we're calculating all of the answers to those questions. And that takes a little bit of time. We have some tables in our database that tend to be slow. A slow table, which has hundreds of millions of records in it, would be core action. Even slower would be core open, which tracks all of the opens for every single mailing. But the slowest is core user mailing, which is a record of every mailing every single user has ever received. So very, very slow, takes a long time. So because of this, we built a table called Summaryuser. And this Summaryuser table has all of the data that you're commonly looking for in these types of engagement queries. When did the user last take action? When did the user last take action from a mailing? When did they last open a mailing or click it? When were they last subscribed to the default mailing list? When was their last donation? When did we last send them an email? How many actions have they taken in the last 30, 60, 90, 180, 270, or 365 days? We have the answers to all of these questions, and best of all, we do all of the updates behind the scenes. So using the Summaryuser table is so fast compared to getting these results and calculating them yourself. So, because we don't have to look through the entire history of actions and donations and mailings and opens and clicks and so on every single time for every single user, because we don't have to do that heavy lifting, we do it all behind the scenes and we keep Summaryuser regularly up to date. Your reports will run so fast and your mailings will build so much more quickly. When I was doing testing to answer the question of how fast, I found that smaller clients who tend to have a lot fewer users in their on their lists, you're going to see these reports and these mailings build about 400 times faster. So fast. But larger clients, the benefits are even greater. We're talking 3,000 times faster. So a report that you might have been waiting several minutes or even up to 30 minutes to complete, it now completes in seconds when you use Summaryuser. And maybe you're thinking, wow, I hated waiting 30 minutes for my mailing to build. I would love to wait seconds for my mailing to build. I'm sold. Shannon, how do I do this? And what you're going to do is edit your query reports to use the Summaryuser table wherever possible. This will require some custom SQL code, but the good news is that you do this once and then on the whole, your queries are going to be much simpler and easier to read and understand. And of course, they're going to be faster. And I'll show you an example of what that looks like in a moment. But of course, I have to say, for best results, start with optimizing a query that is very, very slow or a query that is used very frequently in your targeting. Go for the biggest, easiest wins first. So I want to apologize. I'm really sorry to show you code on a slide. You do not have to read it that closely. The main thing I'm trying to show you here is the before and the after. So the top is the before, the bottom is the after. Both of these snippets of SQL code will show you how many actions a user took in the last 90 days. The first bit of code is generated by the point-and-click query builder, and if you look closely, you might notice that it joins on the core action table, which you'll remember from a few slides ago is pretty large and it's pretty slow. The second bit of code does the exact same thing. How many actions did we get in the last 90 days? But it's been rewritten to use the Summaryuser table. I want you to notice that it's much more straightforward and it's easier to read. And of course, the most important part, it's much faster. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Oh, Shannon, this is nice, but it's never going to work for us because Summaryuser doesn't have that particular stat we really care about. Or, oh, this is really nice, but I don't know how to use custom SQL. We'll never be able to rewrite our queries. So for the first point, if Summaryuser doesn't have this particular stat that you care about, I want to introduce you to custom user fields and user updaters. You can store whatever information you like about your users in custom user fields, and you can keep them up to date with user updaters. So check out our other feature spotlight videos for more details on exactly how to do this and why it will help you. That's going to be a great resource. Can't recommend it enough. And if you're like, oh, I don't know, I can't write this custom SQL code, but my mailings, they still take forever to build. For some things like this, we really want to get clients onto using Summaryuser where possible. So it is okay to write into support and ask questions like that. So finally, we have a ton of how-to guides, tutorials, tips, and trainings available on blog.actionkit.com. For more about the Summaryuser table, check out our database documentation All these links and so much more are available in the description too, so please be sure to check out our other feature spotlights. I'm Shannon Turner, and I will see you in support.